First up, a Go Loud original from Newstalk.
Good morning, it's Monday the 4th of October. I'm Shane Beattie.
And I'm Mairead Cleary, and this is First Up, all the news you need to start your day.
On this morning's edition, plan for Dublin Underground set to be revealed in National Development Plan.
What I want to see in the development plan today is a real firm commitment that this government wants to deliver Metrolink.
Nadine Lott's murderer will be sentenced today.
And controversy continues over Sláintecare.
First up this morning, the government will launch its revised National Development Plan this afternoon. Cabinet ministers are gathering in Cork to sign off on the plan for capital spending over the next decade. Our reporter Stephanie Rowan joins us now with more. Stephanie, what exactly is the National Development Plan?
Well, Mairead, it's going to set out all the capital spending across the economy for the next 10 years or so. So all the big projects for Ireland until 2030, like roads, housing, water, big projects like the National Children's Hospital, etc. Now, the government's planning to spend €165 billion in total, and that's the biggest spend ever on a national development plan. Now, breaking that down, the largest chunk of it is going to go towards transport at €35 billion. 12 will be for public transport, 6 for roads, 4 for walking and cycling infrastructure, and 13 billion on maintenance. There's also going to be commitment for major projects that we've been waiting for a while, like the long-awaited Metrolink and DART, although we're unlikely to get completion dates. The government is also expected to commit to a Bus Connect programme for Cork, Limerick, Galway and Waterford. Moving to other projects like water, around €4.5 billion is going to go towards water improvements, with 68 million of that to replace lead pipes in rural communities, and around €500 million will be available for a wastewater system to service the Greater Dublin area. The National Development Plan now was due to run to 2027, but the government decided to revise its part first to factor in newer 2030 climate targets. Oh, and also, of course, we're going to hear a lot about housing today as well. So you're just going to hear a lot of figures today, a lot of plans, and a lot of PR.
And all government parties were trying to claim wins over the weekend.
Yeah, as I was saying, brace yourself, because over the next week or so, all government TDs and ministers are going to be saying how great all this is. As I said, there's going to be lots of figures thrown out at you, lots of projects. You're going to have local TDs saying this is a great day for Kildare, great day for Cork, great day for Galway. But there's going to be a lot of criticism here too, because as I just said, some of these projects aren't going to have completion dates, so it might just seem a bit airy-fairy. For example, we're going to hear lots of money will be thrown at the Metrolink, but we don't even have completion dates. So Labour's party transport spokesperson Douglas Smith, we've been speaking to him, and he says a timeline, you have to give it for a project like this.
It's absolutely vital. Swords is the third largest town in Ireland. It is the only town in the top 20 towns by population that's not connected with a rail link. It is absolutely incredible that a town of this size, that is so close to Dublin Airport and so close to Dublin City Centre, does not have a rail link of any kind. So it's important, if we're to develop Swords into the future, we need this rail link.
That's great. Stephanie Rowan, thank you for joining us on First Up.
The Health Minister has no intention whatsoever of reforming the health system under Sláintecare, according to the Labour Party leader. Alan Kelly says that's why 3 of its board members quit in recent weeks. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly has said the resignations had cast a shadow over progress being made, but a new advisory group focusing on regional health will be operational next month. Alan Kelly says the Minister has cast aside independent oversight, and he claims he's now making it up as he goes along.
Really, it ultimately finally shows to everybody very clearly that he has no intention whatsoever of implementing Sláintecare. He has no intention whatsoever of ensuring that the oversight body for all aspects of Sláintecare is in place, and ultimately he's going to try and implement some other version or variant of Sláintecare which he's going to make up on the hoof. It's really, really totally unacceptable.
A 34-year-old Dublin man will be handed a life sentence later today for murdering his ex-girlfriend in her home in Arklow, County Wicklow, just before Christmas 2019. Daniel Murtagh of Melrose Grove, Bonogue, Clondalkin, admitted to killing Nadine Lott but denied murder, claiming he was too intoxicated to form the intent to do so. Our courts correspondent Frank Graney has this report, which some listeners may find distressing.
Following his arrest, Daniel Murtagh admitted hitting Nadine Lott hard during a row, but he said he didn't mean to hurt her. She suffered 64 injuries, the most significant of which were found in her head, face and neck. Her family said she was unrecognisable. Murtagh blamed drugs and alcohol for what he did that night and claimed he was too intoxicated to form the intent required for murder. The jury disagreed. Nadine's family observed a moment's silence together outside court on verdict day. At his sentence hearing later this morning, they'll be given an opportunity to speak about Nadine and tell the judge how her brutal murder at the hands of her ex has affected them.
Now in Britain, the Conservatives are gathering in Manchester for their first in-person party conference in 2 years. The event is already generating headlines. London-based journalist and regular media contributor Vincent McAviney joins me now on First Up. Morning to you, Vincent. So what's on the agenda for the next few days?
They're going to have some headline-grabbing speeches starting today with Chancellor Rishi Sunak, who's going to be promising about £500 million for a renewed job support programme to get people into work through the winter. And there's also a lot of watch to see what he does on taxes, because the Prime Minister yesterday in an interview didn't rule out that there could be further increases and changes to the UK's tax code. They have a huge bill from the pandemic. The furlough scheme alone cost £70 billion when it finished last week. So there is a lot of talk around Rishi Sunak and whether or not he will, really show himself to be a conservative chancellor, someone who actually wants to bring down taxes and rein in spending, or not, whether or not he thinks he needs to keep the taps on. And we will, of course, be hearing from the Prime Minister. His big key speech will be on Wednesday, and whether or not he can really address the growing fuel and kind of standards of living crisis that is engulfing the UK this winter.
And from an Irish perspective, we're still extremely interested in the aftermath of Brexit. There's talk today in some of the British papers of Lord Frost replacing the Northern Ireland Protocol. Now, some would say he can say what he likes. It's a legal agreement. What's he likely to do today?
Yeah, he is going to give a speech at conference, and I think this is very much for the sort of Tory heartlands, people who actually don't properly understand the kind of agreements. And I've had conversations with delegates at previous conferences at the Conservative conference in the last couple of years when this has been a hot issue, and you just really get a sense that they don't have much of an understanding of the Good Friday Agreement, that they don't have much regard for it, to be honest, and there's a bit of arrogance around it all. So I'm not sure to take this speech too seriously. I think it very much is for those in the conference hall, because he knows all too well that he negotiated this text, that he agreed it, how bad it would look around the world if he did try to trigger Article 16.
Which is the nuclear option.
Exactly, yes. And I think we've had warnings in the past just month alone, both from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who was here in the UK, who warned the Prime Minister in a meeting in Downing Street that Republicans and Democrats in the US do not want to see anything which could damage the Good Friday Agreement. And one of the few things we did hear in the meeting between President Biden and Prime Minister Johnson in the Oval Office was Joe Biden saying very clearly, again, Democrats and Republicans do not want any changes made to the Brexit settlement that could compromise the Good Friday Agreement. So I think this is very much to be read just as in the room. It's a bit of red meat for Tory supporters.
OK, London-based journalist Vincent McAviney, thanks for joining us on First Up.
Nearly 12 million documents have been leaked in what's being described as the biggest ever expose of financial secrets. The Pandora Papers reveal how the rich and powerful use offshore companies to avoid paying large amounts of tax. Details shared with the Irish Times show Ireland's being used as a de facto offshore location by people and businesses in countries like Russia and Ukraine. Pete Jones is from the Organised Crime and Corruption Reporting Project in the UK.
It really kind of pulls back the veil of secrecy that hangs over this offshore world. It kind of reveals this global industry of not just corporate service providers, but bankers, lawyers, and accountants who are working quite hard to hide assets, to bend the rules, in some cases to break the rules.
And a new Barbie's been designed to encourage more young girls to become astronauts or scientists. The brand has teamed up with the European Space Agency to release the doll, which is based on Italian aviator Samantha Cristoforetti. One of the toys will accompany her on her next mission to the International Space Station. Samantha says it's an honour to be part of the collaboration.
The mini Samantha doll has already been on a parabolic flight, so she already has some experience with weightlessness. And, I really hope that by showing that, we can create some excitement for especially young girls.
And that is First Up for today, the 4th of October. I'm Mairead Cleary.
I'm Shane Beattie. Please start your day with us again here tomorrow.
In the meantime, you can check out all the news you need on newstalk.com.
Talk tomorrow.
Bye.